And as warmer weather comes to the heartland, many of us are getting outside and getting active, but we aren't the only ones. That is not uncommon for running to come in contact with a dog or another wild animal. Today we have Dr. Justin Puckett with Complete Family Medicine here to discuss what we need to do if we encounter an animal bite. So, Dr. Puckett, what kind of animal bites are there out there that some of us would have to encounter?
Well, the most common, the most frequent animal bites are domestic animals, mostly cats and dogs, and even other pet animals, mammals like ferrets.
Sure.
But the good news is that most of those animals it's very rare. More than 90% of all of the cases of rabies actually happen in wild animals. So as long as you leave a wild animal alone, it's very unlikely for you to get an animal bite. But I'm not sure that there's a stick long enough when you're poking a mad raccoon
Sure.
that he's not going to come after you. So those are, usually they happen with animals that you know.
Sure.
They're your own pets or somebody else's pets. But occasionally, just like you mentioned in the intro, if somebody's jogging and a dog, chases them and can make a bite contact that way.
Cool. So if we get bit by an animal, what exactly should we do? What's our first thing to do?
Sure. First, you want to make sure that you leave the area so that you don't get further injured and make other people be cleared from the area.
Sure.
And then second, you want to wash your wound with soap and water, not antibacterial soap, not peroxide. You just want to use good old-fashioned soap and water, and do that for about 10 minutes. If there's bleeding that's out of control, then you can just put direct pressure on that. You really don't want to use a tourniquet unless it's some sort of a really severe, life-threatening major bleed.
Okay.
Just direct pressure. And then if the wound is big enough, then it may require some sort of surgical intervention. And if you notice that, if you think that that the injury is limb-threatening, or if you notice that one finger doesn't work and maybe you've injured a tendon or something,
okay,
then that's something to go to the emergency department for at your nearest hospital. But otherwise, if it's just something that simply needs sutured up, you can do that at your urgent care or regular doctor's office.
Okay. So if we get bit, what do we need to do? Anything else? Is there shots? Is there any other thing after we've gotten the bleeding to stop and got to the hospital? What's next after that? Absolutely.
First thing you want to do is get a tetanus shot, and tetanus shots are really easy. There's they're inexpensive, and if you're more than 5 years out on your tetanus shot, then you need to get that updated. Also, depending upon the severity of the wound, you may need antibiotics, and so I really recommend for anybody who has a puncture that actually punctures the skin to seek some medical care for that. And then, of course, the rabies vaccine.
Okay. Tell us a little more about rabies prevention. Who needs it, and what does it actually entail?
Sure. If you're bit by a domestic animal that's been proven to have its shots, then you're good to go.
Okay.
You just want to observe that animal, and you're good to go. If the animal can't be proven shots, but the animal's contained and caught, then that animal can be observed for a couple weeks, and if the animal doesn't show any signs or symptoms of rabies, then again you can be good to go. If you can't locate the animal, or if it were a wild animal that scurried off into the woods, or if the animal's showing unusual behavior, then that really does warrant the rabies vaccination. Okay. And not only the vaccination, but also the human rabies immunoglobulin. So you kind of get two treatments there.
Okay. So, as we've talked about during breaks, rarity of rabies in the area, and if I do get bitten, I do have rabies, how expensive is the shot?
Yeah, it's quite rare. And before 2008, the closest rabies death we'd had in Missouri was 1959. Wow. But somebody did get bit by a bat in 2008 and died. If you do get rabies, and death is invariable. You're going to die. So it is important now, but it is quite rare. The problem with the shots and the human immunoglobulin is it's not generally covered by insurance, and it's very expensive, several thousands of dollars of treatment. Okay. You take the immunoglobulin, and part of it gets put into the wound, part of it gets put into your arm, and then you get a series of 4 or 5 shots to prevent the rabies.
Now, I heard that the shot was a really long needle that goes in your stomach. Is that true? No, that's always the fear out there.
Yeah, no, just in your arm, but we do actually put some of the rabies immunoglobulin right into the wound, so okay, it's something that needs to be done right into that local area.
So if I contract rabies without taking the shot, I will. It is a life-threatening thing to do. So if you do get it, you do contract it, despite the expense on it, you need to take that shot.
It is very rare, but if it does hit you, it's bad news.
Okay, so what do you recommend that we can do to prevent animal bites?
Well, if you've got an animal, keeping your animal restrained, so that's going to prevent it from injuring anyone else. Also, leaving animals alone, especially if they're eating, if they've got puppies or kittens, they become very protective. If they're injured, they may not understand your good intentions or trying to help them, and then they could injure you in that way. Keeping all of your animals up to date on their shots is really important, and so I encourage everybody to make sure that you've got all your rabies vaccinations, because that's gonna save you a whole mess of trouble if your animal does unintentionally harm someone.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll go ahead and put all this great information online along with Dr. Puckett and Complete Family Medicine's information. So if you have any thoughts or concerns about bites or rabies, Dr. Puckett is well available to answer those questions for you.